You know, whenever I start one of these, my audio tends to always be off. Well, not really start, but like prior to, right? And then I realize I'm like, oh shit, I gotta turn my mic on. Even though it is essentially on, just OBS will then detect it until later. Kind of funny. One of these days, it's just gonna be a muted reaction, where nothing actually ends up happening. But hello, everybody. Welcome to another Zero reaction. We're back. Uh, I am a little late today, but that's okay. Today is a lot more of a chill episode to my understanding because we're not at the big moment yet, but we also did just get past the second volume. So we're in that in between where things will be overall calm. That said, I do know, just based on previews and actual info from the series, this is a big moment for Priscilla, right? Which is very exciting for obvious reasons, both, you know, web novel wise and also Arc 5 wise and everything, right? Um, I will say the interesting thing about this is I don't remember some of the stuff that I saw previews of, which might just be, light novel sort of thing that's been happening a lot, right, as a result. Um, but I'm not familiar with a lot of that. Something actually to bring up in regards to that. I mentioned something that was going to happen in volume 4 in terms of like the anime adaptation. Turns out the thing that I was looking forward to so much, it does not happen in the light novel version, which is so fucking unfortunate. Like that actually does kind of make me sad because it's a good way to tease some stuff about Capella, right? They already did. Don't get me wrong. There is a line that I might have talked over a little bit that was read in a way and also written in such a way that it's meant to tease you in terms of what's up. But uh, I'm kind of sad that Volume Four's teaser in that sense is not going to be in there because that's actually not in the light novel. The only way I see them actually putting that in is if for some reason that spot they decide to take more from the web novel. Entirely possible. I just kind of doubt it, right? I feel like that'll be an out of nowhere thing for anime onlys, but I do kind of want it. It would be interesting to have another VA kind of take on Capella's voice and all that sort of shit, right? Obviously, I'm not going to go into details or anything, but I just you kind of, in a sense, I'm giving my own teaser by saying that. But that would have been cool. It's unfortunate that it probably isn't going to happen, but that's all right. Anyways, today is going to be a lot more chill of an episode overall, to my understanding, especially because like for any anime onlys out there, next week's episode is going to because I think it's probably going to be next week's is going to have a really big moment for Subaru, especially for just this arc. Like it is his moment in this arc, right? I feel like that's the thing always with characters in whatever arcs is like, oh yeah, they have a ton of moments, but this one specifically is like their big moment. Next episode should be his big moment. I'm pretty sure. I think that's where we should line up. I don't know. We'll have to see how far this goes. But I think that's where it should line up, which is very exciting, right? It's going to be real great. Gonna love it a lot. It's part of the reason why I loved this like arc so much, and why this volume isn't even like the worst, even though it's really short and there's not too much that kind of goes on. At least web novel wise, it's like it goes over information about some stuff, but it doesn't like do too many things all at once, right? Like it's kind of on the like it's a cool down sort of thing after the previous volume where so much shit happened, right? But that moment is going to really just excel this whole experience super hard, and I'm looking very much forward to that. It's kind of crazy to think that the whole core is going to end in 2 weeks from now. That does feel a little bit insane, but regardless of that, we have an episode to get to, right? And there's no point in wasting time. So let me do this. Let me do this. Let me tab it in. And 3, 2, 1. Let's go. I do remember this stuff played a massive part in Volume 3's length. And she's gonna be like, yeah, don't out loud say that. Oh, I guess, okay. Interesting voice direction stuff with that. Also, oh yeah, of course it's showing that. Yeah. Yeah, because they clash together and then, yeah. But yeah, so I remember with the web novel, she shows up way later. Like she's not the person to help out here. She shows up like way later. Hmm. Her voice sounds slightly deeper than I remember, which is fine. I'm totally cool with it, but weird example, but it reminds me of also yeah, there's his leg. Let's see. Yeah. Oh my god, it's so much worse there. Oh, it was not pulsating in the oh, and then yep, heals. Oh, I wonder if next episode might also discuss the interesting thing about that. But I was gonna mention Priscilla's voice direction, at least specifically here, because I mean I've never really noticed it that deep before. It's been a little like in that range, but uh, random example, it reminds me a lot of I don't know the VA's name, unfortunately. Like I don't know it by heart, but the VA who does like Kurapika and all that, and did Jolene in some of the earlier JoJo games prior to the anime. Um, it reminds me of that sort of voice when they're doing a recap in Yakuza 0. I guess I could have mentioned like the actual name of the character, but I mean, think about it. I guess that is a bit of a spoiler. So I never realized she had like a needle sort of end to the fan. These two interacting here. I'm gonna save my comment till this whole section is over. Damn. Just hearing her commend him. Hmm. Ooh. You know. So I do not remember these fucking things at all, but I did hear about them prior to a lot of this shit. So it was interesting. It also, yeah, it makes sense because of Capella, right? It makes sense she can do that. It actually, thinking about it, it does add some interesting. Oh wait, first of all, Yang Sword. We finally get to see it properly. Ooh, also the VA there. Ooh. It does add some interesting explanations for reasons later that we might get to if we get, the proper 38 episodes people have been speaking about, or whatever, however many it was. I was also going to mention, even though they're CGI, they do look great. It's something I saw people pointing out, and I also agree. Even though they are CGI, they do look great. Oh, so them being here actually happens now. Ooh, excuse me. Yeah, so I remember this happening later web novel wise, but seeing as Priscilla is, properly here the whole last time, I'm assuming this is just a thing there. I'm just gonna not imagine that Raph would possibly, or Raph's effect would possibly not cause that parent to do anything to that child. I'm just gonna imagine, that they wouldn't pull a part one DO going, okay, okay. Okay, I'm gonna say this, right, because I think this is important to people who might have not enjoyed how upset I got with uh, Liliana in my Arc 5 review. She is so far better. I mean, I know this is very early on, but she is so far better because she's not, dawdling around and just doing whatever the fuck, right? And just be like, oh, well, I gotta figure out a solution. I don't know my solution, all this sort of shit. And then it's just repeated lines over and over again. I'm glad it's just straight, I have a revelation, song, go, right? That does help out a lot. Also, the fact that we're not in her POV, at least right now, uh, is great. That said, a big reason I got annoyed was because of how much it kind of repeated lines and made it, like, boring to read. I mean, I suspected this was gonna happen. Also, it was a nice song. I suspected it was gonna happen like this, where it was just gonna be like, oh yeah, I was probably going to enjoy Liliana more. It was just the problem of I hadn't read the light novel and all that. Oh, and then yeah, everybody's fine now because that's all it takes. This is the part that I did like with her character. Is all it takes is somebody to essentially, take over the minds of people in a better sense, right? Like with music and all that sort of shit. So it's like, even if Raph, you know, shows up and starts messing with emotions, all we need is Liliana, right? It's a fun thing where it's like, oh yeah, like actual planning and figuring out, okay, if this person does this, we create a counter by doing this. They did a good job with, giving that focus to her and everything. This is like I know how this stuff goes down, but it is like worrying to watch, right? I did see a really good Twitter thread by somebody I have seen in the community a lot that said I don't remember a lot of names. I apologize. I am bad with that a lot of the time. Oh fuck, hold on. Uh, Mentioning that Regulus and Capella are like a really good opposite to each other. Like in a certain sense, one feels neat and tidy, the other is the opposite, right? And it's like even their ideas and all that sort of shit fall into that line. And then I also thought mentioning why Krush was like actually a perfect pairing for uh like the Capella fight sort of stuff. Um God, I just seen them move like that. Uh yeah, I was gonna say, I love that she notices and knows what's coming, even though she barely knows shit about Regulus. And then of course, no difference despite the fact that she was going to die. Yep. Um that Krush was a perfect pairing for Capella because of the whole thing of like Krush kind of denies Capella's idea of, you know, what lust, or not what lust, but like love and all that sort of shit is, because it's like, oh, it's just lust and all this. So she's denying Krush's idea of being a woman and everything because she's not really, you know, essentially in a sense focused on that. I might be wording that poorly. I think the thread mentions it a lot better. I'm just also trying to react while also, talking about it. But yeah. Oh, also the voice acting there. Oof. Um, I do love that moment because yeah, like you get to really see a lot more regarding uh regarding Regulus and all that and these wives, right? I think I can safely say it now without, being like, oh yeah, spoilers, guys, but doesn't exactly, treat them the best, obviously, as you could have imagined. Even though he mentioned some of the number stuff regarding them, I don't know if I will mention the specifics of that just yet because there's important things regarding it. Uh, this part. Uh, this part did hurt to read. The stuff with Furious hurts hard. They did skip some of the stuff of Furious being a bit of an ass, but honestly, that's partially for the better, even though it's very much for the character. Oh my god, they're actually showing. Okay, they temporarily showed it. Um, it is a thing of like if we're gonna have this sort of scene, it's good to get rid of that. Right, if we're gonna make it sad, um, then that's a good shot. Oh, they talk. Oh, that is. Hmm. Oh. Okay, it is. I was gonna say, is he talking to Capella? Because I figured, if he's gonna get some upset at somebody the most, it's gonna be her. I was gonna mention the stuff with Pyrrhus and all that. Skipping over some of the passive aggressive shit is for the better because I know I haven't actually watched the new Bleach episode yet. Third fucking week that I'm doing this with Bleach, unfortunately, and it's like from what I've heard, like where shit starts to get exciting again. Which I mean, I know I've read it, but I did see some posts, but they add stuff to that, so I'm not always sure. But I know for that, I remember hearing people mention, oh yeah, they skipped over some of the comedic scenes there. Uh, Actually, no, they skipped over the comedic scenes earlier on, but especially there as well. They skipped over that stuff and just kept it proper, concise, all that. I liked it. Right. Yep. She even interacts with her. I wish we could see a kid now reanimated. I'm trying to think if they will ever flash to her at any point to like give a proper scene, but I don't think they would. I think it would literally just be like flashback stuff and that's it. Actually, I know there's some stuff later that's in there, but I've heard that it's not in the light novel version, so I'm not sure. Or I think I've heard that it's only some of it, like it's only a handful of it, and then the other half doesn't happen. Yeah, it's 100% next episode where the big moment's gonna happen because I don't think there's physically enough time in this episode unless they skip the ending super hard and just have a few more minutes. I was gonna say I imagined this conversation in the broadcast area and it would be like really small and because all this because I mentioned like a few chairs here and there and that's about it. But it is actually in the broadcast room. It's just I guess that's way larger than I assumed it was originally. I thought that was like a small ass room. I guess that's the fun part about Tepe's writing is the apple in his head isn't necessarily fully there, but that's a good thing because that lets the scene play out in countless different ways that you can imagine. Did his arms randomly get spread out even though he had them crossed? An ending? Yep. See, it's like I do still like this. Especially like the focus they gave to Priscilla was fantastic. And the animation they gave her. Um, but yeah, as I figured, as much as like, oh yeah, you get some nice stuff in there, more info, all this, you get to see more about Regulus and his character, all this sort of stuff. You know, so you get to see what's going on. This is a lighter episode, right? This is what I already knew going into it because this is what it is in the novel. Even if it's like, yeah, I'm going off of web novel, they're not going to change that much. You know, it's not going to change that hard. And it's like, okay, now you know, we don't have that sort of shit in there anymore or something like that, right? Like, of course, we're still getting that. Um, Dude, I always do love the camera work of this ending, and then, like the hair flipping around, and then here comes the frog, or I guess turtle, because you know I mentioned Kappa sort of thing, but like yeah that, and then yeah, again I do love that that part of the ending almost feels like a proper reference to Redo, but it's all of them picking him up instead of him just getting up on his own because of the whole sort of you know the return by death coming into effect. Is there an after credits? There might be. There probably is. Very short. The very tense after credits because I do not remember this part. Oh, that's what. Yeah, I do remember. I do remember seeing this in the light novel. You know, I'm not gonna say anything. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just. I'm. You know, I'll find out with the next episode because I personally don't remember this. I'm gonna reset that so that you know I have it ready for Bleach. I'm not gonna say anything. I'm just. Um, we'll find out. We'll find out. Because this is the part that I'm unfamiliar with, but I do know within there. I do know that these two speak. I did know about that. I just never saw it because, you know, I went off web novel. Uh, but we'll see. We'll see how that goes. Uh, Good episode, right? Like I said, it was obviously going to be on the lighter side of things and everything because it's like this is the, you know, calm before the second storm, essentially, is the best way to word it. Um, but makes sense, right? So I do have a general idea for what the next two episodes are going to cover. Because I know, yeah, next episode will have, you know, some more of the planning sort of stuff that's going on with Subaru. They'll have this conversation, and then it'll also have the big moment that I'm alluding to, right? And then I know what the finale to the core will be. I know how they'll probably cliffhanger it, which I am very excited to see as a cliffhanger. I think that's going to be great. I'm hoping that it just looks beautiful and everything. That's going to be real fun. And then after that, we wait till February to continue again. And I think when that happens, we'll have quite a few things in store for us. We'll have a lot of just interesting scenes and stuff like that. We'll have my favorite backstory in any series, right, happening in there that might actually be a whole episode long, possibly two, but probably only an episode long. Um, that said, it is one of the longest chapters in the series, so there's a chance that it ends up being two episodes, right? I wouldn't doubt that idea necessarily. I guess we'll just see, right? We will see what happens, and I am very excited for that second half. I'm very excited for what remains here, like the next 2 episodes, all that. This is gonna be fun. It is gonna feel weird in a sense to be reacting to shit like Bleach and stuff like that, like until I think the 21st of December is around when I calculated. It's either 21st of December or if it's 13 episodes. Or rather, my brother did some of the calculations with some of the stuff and I slightly corrected it. And if they're taking a break, which they probably will, you know, if it's 13 episodes, because Christmas is after that, I believe. Actually, I don't know that Christmas is after that, because 21st, I might have been wrong on that. I'm going to double check on my phone really quick. Let me pull up my calendar. Let me go to, no, 23rd is when, yeah, 23rd is the Saturday. So, 23rd, they probably won't take a break for that, but they will air an episode, and if that's not the end, then it'll be like the 30th, yeah. It didn't even show the 30th, but I just did the math of seeing Thursday there, and I'm like, okay, yeah, the 30th. So it's kind of crazy that that will go till like the end of December, and I'll be reacting to that still, and I'll be sitting there like, still got two more months before ReZero. Oh boy, right? I will say, because I know some people are probably going to ask about the Arc 6 presumable trailer that might happen in like March or whatever it might be. I don't remember if it was March. It's either March or May or some shit. I will probably react to that, but the reaction will probably be on the main channel because that's a lot larger of a deal in a sense, right? Like that's a big thing to kind of discuss. Rather than me doing reactions to episodes, right? Because this is very simple. This is me talking about it, all that sort of shit, watching it, all that. But like a trailer is like a trailer. This is me and my, you know, community over there and everything. And maybe some of you are part of that, which, hey, I'm all for that, right? Or maybe not. Also still fine with that, right? But it's like like trailers especially are a big thing to be like, okay, yeah, I gotta discuss this with everybody and all this sort of shit. And as much as I try to avoid spoilers there, it is a thing of like, oh yeah, you know, comments and stuff like that, mentioning stuff, all this things we're excited to see animated, all that, right? It's kind of a thing of I think it fits that channel way more and everything. So if there is a new trailer that happens, obviously I'll react. I will do it over there. I'm very excited at the prospect of Arc 6 being animated like close to this essentially, or like this, you know, kind of coming out, and then Arc 6 is also being worked on in the background. I am very excited at that idea. Again, favorite arc of any series, so that's going to be fantastic. Yeah, I don't know. I'm looking forward to that sort of thing. But with that said, I'm rambling. I think that should just be about it for this episode. Reaction, all that. Because not much more to say, and I'm also excited for the Bleach episode. So, with that said, I think this is where we will end off. So take care. Have yourselves a great night, peeps. And we will see you all next week. The next reaction with the big moment and everything, which I'm very excited for. So, see you all then. Take care. Have yourselves a great night. Stay safe, peeps. And I'll see you all then. Farewell.